A warm, muggy afternoon here in Columbia, South Carolina. We're at Williams-Brice Stadium. A couple of 2-1 clubs going at it. South Carolina trying to get back to their winning ways. Louisiana Tech coming off a big win over Western Kentucky last weekend. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dave Neal. This is former Georgia All-American Matt Stinchcomb. And Matt, this place was rocking and rolling last week. This crowd got really behind the club, and South Carolina laid an egg in that game against the Wildcats. Now they've got to focus their attention on a very good Louisiana Tech team. SEC schedule still out there. How do they get it back?
They got to get back up on their feet. There's no question about it. And they went down to the mat last week. They came out of the gate smoking in the East Division, played 3 straight FBS opponents, got out to 1-0. Now they're evened up in that East Division race. They're going to have to find some answers, obviously, because of the injury situation that they find themselves in.
And certainly injuries are a big part of football, but none bigger than right here, because this guy, Deebo Samuel, one of the best players in all of America, was having an electrifying junior season until this happened. This is the second half against Kentucky. Tried to get back in the game, but he just had surgery on Sunday, and he will be out later. Now the question is, who do they turn to?
These two men right here, Hayden Hurst at his tight end position and Brian Edwards, who kicked down the doors in his freshman campaign a season ago at his wide receiver position. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to take more than just these two players to fill that Deebo Samuel-sized void because of his contributions, offensive yardage, and scoring 12 points a game at that one position in Deebo Samuel.
Well, Skip Holtz coached here under his dad back in the early 2000s. He's back here in Columbia with a very good Louisiana Tech team, and he has built this program 3 consecutive 9-win seasons.
It's impressive to see what Skip Holtz has been able to do. He's got some new faces, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but he loves what he has in this team, speaks about their character and their work ethic. They got a big victory last week over Conference USA rival and East Division favorite West Kentucky. To me, I think Louisiana Tech favorite in the Conference USA Championship race right now.
We'll hear from Dawn Davenport in a few moments. She is down on the sidelines. Louisiana Tech in their road whites and South Carolina in their home garnet jerseys, and we are just about set for some football. And that kickoff will sail through the end zone out to the 25-yard line. Boy, Jake Bentley, a sophomore, a youngster, had a great run at one point. 16 straight completions against Kentucky the other night, completing over 60% of his passes. What do you like about this youngster?
Well, I like the consistency and the fact that he's able to string together those completions in an offense that has required him to be more pass-oriented. He's a guy that can extend plays. He's an athlete at quarterback. Not necessarily a runner, though. There's not a lot of quarterback run game in this offense, but what they do have in Jake Bentley is a leader and a playmaker, a guy who throws well on the run if he has to escape the pocket.
This is a South Carolina offense averaging 26 points a game. Handoff goes right side. Dyson Williams, a transfer from North Carolina, gets the first carry and picks up 5 as we take a look at today's starting lineups, brought to you by Jimmy John's. And Rico Dowdle didn't get the start today. That went to Williams, but they're going to need all their playmakers to compensate for the loss of Deebo Samuel. The offensive line will lose a big part. Zach Bailey, the right tackle, out with a high ankle sprain, so they've moved some pieces around. We'll get into that a little bit later. 2nd down and 5. Another 5-yard pickup, actually 5.5. King able to bring Williams down. And this is a team that averages 85 yards a game on the ground, and there's no doubt that is not good enough.
Well, in talking with Jake Bentley yesterday, he acknowledged the fact that they have to get this ground game going. It's something that they have to have from a balanced standpoint, especially when you take into account that you lost a playmaker on the outside, Deebo Samuel in his slot position. You have to be able to complement that passing game with more of a threat on the ground. They haven't been able to establish much of a rushing attack so far through 3 games. 2
runs and a first down for the Gamecocks. Here's Bentley. He'll swing it near side. There's some room for Williams. And Williams, they said they wanted to get him more involved. I think they weren't lying to us. 8-yard pickup. Let's go downstairs and visit with Dawn.
Well, you guys talk about how devastating the loss of Deebo Samuel is. Well, for offensive coordinator Kurt Roper, he said just as scary as the loss of his right tackle, Zach Bailey. He's out at least today with that high ankle sprain. Dave, you mentioned this is a guy who has started for this team for the last 2 years. He can play anywhere on this line. And for a team that's ranked 119th in the nation running the football, coach says they're going to miss his experience today.
They're going to miss him trying to block Jalen Ferguson as well. Nice little stutter step to midfield. That'll be another first down for South Carolina and a 7-yard pickup for Williams, who, coming out of high school, if you don't know his whole story, started at North Carolina, but he was considered the #1 high school player in South Carolina. ESPN Recruiting had him as the 11th ranked running back nationally. This is a guy that certainly has some potential to mix in there with Rico Dowdle and A.J. Turner. Derek Guger will pick up a yard.
Now that's the guy in Randricus Davis, a guy that they're expecting to get more touches and have a bigger piece of this offense, given the fact that he's similar to Deebo Samuel. This is an element of the game that South Carolina brought with them. Bobby Bentley, the running back coach, Jake Bentley's dad, from his days at Auburn, the fly sweep motion that makes defenses play sideline to sideline.
Pass complete inside the 40. And that one scooped up by Randricus Davis.
Back-to-back touches. And you can see Randricus Davis obviously going to be big in this football game. We talked about that Deebo Samuel role, the slot piece. It's not just as a receiver, as a rusher. Now with the reception for Drake Davis, a guy they have to get more touches now.
Davis played a couple of games last year, then got hurt. Able to pick up a medical red shirt. They'll hand it off inside down to the 36-yard line, a gain of 3. Well, they are using Williams a lot, but Davis, a guy that they're going to move into the slot a little bit. The redshirt freshman out of Mays High School in Atlanta. And Deebo was just such a huge part of what they were doing.
And the numbers, of course, that wouldn't escape a defensive coordinator's attention either. So even when #1 and Samuel wasn't on the field, he was drawing the attention of the defense elsewhere and allowed other playmakers to step up.
Little shovel pass. Boy, Williams has been the workhorse on this opening drive. He picks up 6 more yards. He came off the bench to lead the team in rushing against Missouri when he had 78 yards on 14 carries.
You see that rotation maybe, certainly intentional in this game. And they talked about wanting to get the rushing attack. It's not just calling runs. You got to get production out of it. Tyson Wilson, one of those guys, Williams rather, the guy that they're looking towards to get these conversions.
3rd down and short. This was a problem for South Carolina last week. Not today. Huge hole up the middle down to the 20-yard line. There goes Williams for 10 more yards. Take a look at our lending tree. Keys to the game. Stitch.
Well, for South Carolina, when they end up with the football, it's going to be that 3rd down defense, Louisiana Tech. They're going to be looking to establish some big plays out of their playmaker. That's what's fueled their success so far this season. Not necessarily methodical drives, but big shots downfield.
Off the right side, down to the 17-yard line. Tyson Williams, another carry. That is 6 carries for 33 yards on this opening drive. And they are just chewing up some clock in the process.
Well, I like the fact that they've established a drive. You know, last week, South Carolina, they started fast, a one-play scoring drive, but then a bunch of 3-and-outs. Weren't able to capitalize on short fields. Defense got tired, but it's also hard to get into sync offensively. They have new people in place. They got to get some rhythm going. They've been able to do that in this possession.
Bentley facing a blitz. Will loft it up toward the end zone, and that one is incomplete. You mentioned 3-and-outs. They had 6 of those in 12 drives versus Kentucky and have 14 3-and-outs all season.
A little bit surprised, actually, that 2nd down play call. When we talked to Kurt Roper yesterday, he has an interesting philosophy on 2nd down. He says, I'm not thinking of shots on 2nd down. And you're looking in plus territory in the red zone, 2nd long in that instance. You come up with an incomplete pass off of the pressure, but sets up a 3rd and long.
Bentley near side. That one is incomplete off the hands of Shi Smith, the true freshman who had to twist and turn to make that catch. And here comes the South Carolina field goal unit, which had some issues last Saturday night.
No question. 3 missed field goals. Obviously, 2 of them more than 50 yards. By far, not necessarily gimme field goal attempts, and at the same time, we ended up seeing a transition. Parker White, who's attempting this field goal, Wills Alexander Wozniak, who got the last attempt last week, who missed from 42.
The redshirt freshman out of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. It is no good from 34 yards out, and the kicking woes continue. South Carolina chewed up a lot of time, but nothing to show for it on the scoreboard. Louisiana Tech's offense back on the field when we come back. Louisiana Tech and South Carolina scoreless opening quarter from Williams-Brice Stadium, and now Louisiana Tech gets the football. Their redshirt sophomore quarterback out of Meridian, Mississippi, Jamar Smith, had a nice week against Western Kentucky, 306 yards, a touchdown and a pick. This guy is maybe a little bit different than they've had in the past. He gives them a little bit more in the run game.
He's a guy that look at when we get in the red zone, the QB draw game is always a threat with number 8, but he's got an excellent deep ball. Nice touch on those downfield passes.
They will swing it out wide to start this game. That pass is caught to the 26-yard line. Goes Teddy Veal, the Tulane transfer. And he is certainly a game breaker. You talk about Louisiana Tech, they've got 3 or 4 guys on offense that can go the distance if you're not ready for them.
And Teddy Veal is now in a more natural position for Louisiana Tech. They've been able to slide him inside to his slot position. Started the season outside because of some of the youth and inexperience. Now able to play in the position they intended.
Inside handoff goes to the talented Jared Kraft. Team's leading rusher, now up over 250 yards on the season. Picks up 11 on that carry. Sky Moore with the tackle.
Well, Louisiana Tech has got some size inside. O'Shea Dugas, the left guard position, number 74. That guy's going about 330 pounds. And if they can establish a push in the inside portion, because they're not scared to get the ball out on the perimeter, it's going to prove challenging for this South Carolina defense.
Empty set for Louisiana Tech on 1st down and 10. South Carolina drops 8 passes, still caught. Rashid Bonnet picks up 9, and that'll set up a nice short. They actually spot him back a yard, so 2nd down and short.
On that last week, caught an 87-yard bomb versus Western Kentucky. You see the numbers, 140 receiving yards, a guy you do not want to get behind your secondary.
So on 2nd and 2, no gain as Kraft is stopped.
Great job inside by Sky Moore. And 99, TJ Brunson ends up being the guy on the tackle, leading the conference in tackles.
Quick snap, 1st down at midfield. Go right back to Jared Kraft, the senior. Was 6th last year in Conference USA rushing, had over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. Also caught 42 passes out of the backfield.
That's a big element to the Bulldog offense, especially getting some of these 3rd downs. They want to get the ball to their backs out of the backfield, swing passes. The wide receivers will crack down and block the 2nd-level defenders. Something that we will see in these 3rd down situations. They want to get the ball to their backs and let them play in space.
Boston Scott will check in at running back. He'll split out near side. Smith. That pass is caught around the 47 by Teddy Veal, who had 9 grabs last week in the win on the road at Western Kentucky.
Excellent protection by the Louisiana Tech offensive front. Started to collapse there late. One of the things that offensive coordinator Todd Fitch at Louisiana Tech said he liked about Jamar Smith was his pocket presence. A guy that's capable of extending plays and getting out on scrambles. Keeps his eyes downfield, manages the pocket, drifts away from the pressure, and then delivers a strike.
2nd down and 6. Smith comes near side, hits his target, knocked out of bounds On the back end by Jamarcus King after a pickup of 4. That's Burnett as we take a look at South Carolina's starters defensively. And obviously the middle of that page, T.J. Brunson and Sky Moore, those are their playmakers.
The guys that they're going to need to have a big game. Obviously the linebacking core, probably the strength of this South Carolina defense. A big omission right now, Bryson Allen Williams, number 4. He was capable of playing defensive end, outside linebacker, and the middle of the defense for South Carolina.
Well, Louisiana Tech's turnaround. They didn't think anybody jumped, but that's not
false start.
The case.
61 on the offense. Penalty is 5 yards. 3rd down.
He got center Ethan Reed in the shotgun. He was just kind of rocking back in his stance just a little bit. And it was enough to trigger the defensive front. Whenever you do that, that's going to be a penalty on the offensive course. Even if they don't see it, there's referees. You see Reed conferring with the official. But he rocked back in his stance clearly. He was a freshman All-American last year for Louisiana Tech up front.
Here comes some pressure. Throw it underneath. 1st down, Louisiana Tech. Pickup of 10 yards. Boston Scott just kind of slid out of that backfield.
Nice game on the left side. Watch stunt back inside, right in the center of Louisiana Tech offensive front. That time it was Daniel Fennell.
Dump it off underneath. That one goes to Veal, and he's still on his feet. Lost the football. Actually, they'll mark him out of bounds before the ball came flying out. They will spot it back around the 29-yard line.
What a weapon they have in Veal, though. We've already seen early in this game the yards after the catch. Something that they didn't have as much of. They like the fact that he's got that strong lower body. Once he makes that reception, secures the catch, and then is able to get upfield and pick up yardage. That's something that they need in this offense. They were able to capitalize on it a year ago with new faces at receiver. Veal capable of leading the way.
Kraft inside handoff. He's down to the 24-yard line. Give him 5 on that carry. But South Carolina opened up the game with a nice drive, but they missed a 34-yard field goal. Now Louisiana Tech showing their offensive skills. They're having a nice drive.
The other thing, too, of course, in meeting with the South Carolina coaches, they were concerned about the heat, knowing that they're going to have to roll a bunch of guys along that defensive front, and they're thin in their secondary. A lot of 3-4 wide receiver sets for Louisiana Tech. That means for a lot of snaps, a lot of running around for those defensive backs.
Cut back by Kraft. A couple of yards on that carry. So now they are approaching the red zone.
And you can see South Carolina, you know, they're employing and needing to 3 down linemen, 3 bigs on the field. They've got a centered up nose, a guy who's right over the center. He's going to play both gaps, both A gaps on either side. Makes it a little bit more challenging sometimes because the offense has even numbers. They have as many blockers as you have defenders in the box.
Jamar Smith starts the game 6 out of 6 for 41 yards. Pocket is clean, near side, and that one is incomplete. No flags on the play. That'll bring up 3rd down. Looking for Adrian Hardy.
Time very well defended by South Carolina. Working against Jamarcus King on an island. King's with him step for step all the way and had help from DJ Smith, but his safety position coming over late. The throw was not necessarily there. Now watch here to the 3 receiver side. They like to throw it to the back, out of the backfield, and see if they can't pick up 1st downs on an easy throw.
Handoff goes to Scott. He'll pick up 5, but he's a couple of yards shy of the line to make. So here comes the Louisiana Tech field goal units.
Another sustained drive. Both offenses able to take the field and move it down. They're both stalling out once they get into the red zone. Defense is able to bow their necks, force these field goal attempts. And, of course, Jonathan Barnes has proven far more reliable this season then have the South Carolina field goal kickers.
This from 33. The senior out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Kick is on the way. You can give him 3. So Louisiana Tech opens up the score, and they lead by a field goal. Back in a moment.
SEC Network Football is brought to you by Dr. Pepper, the one fans crave.
The Holtzes, Lou and Skip, spent some time here, got off to a slow start, but then started to put it all together. Skip was quarterback coach, offensive coordinator here, also brought along his offensive coordinator. Todd Fitch was here at South Carolina with him. Those two have spent a lot of time in the football meeting rooms. Skip Holtz coaching up his team right now after a nice drive that went 64 yards, 7 minutes and 15 seconds off the clock. And you and I were just talking, boy, you better defend the whole field with this Bulldog offense.
No question. You know, they're going to stretch you to the sideline, and they're going to challenge you deep. They certainly have the speed at receiver to stretch your defense.
That kick will be taken by A.J. Turner at the goal line. Oh, big hit. And Turner is stuffed at the 12-yard line. So South Carolina's offense backed up. We'll step aside. Back to Columbia right after this.
Dory Noka in studio. Another classic in Arlington between Texas A&M and the Razorbacks in overtime. A&M struck first. Austin Allen throws into the end zone, picked by Armani Watts. 6 in a row for the Aggies over the Hogs, guys.
Thanks, Dory. Boy, it has been a struggle. Now, since Brett Bielema has been their head coach, Arkansas has really struggled in SEC play. They are now 10-23.
That's a tough lineup of games right there for sure. I mean, you look at they're struggling right now, and they had a bye week to prepare for this game versus A&M.
First down and 10 for South Carolina's offense. Bentley. Near side pass is caught. That'll be a completion over the 25, and that one goes to Randricus Davis. He'll pick up 13. Aaron Robertson pushes him out of bounds.
Behind a reshuffled offensive front, Donnell Stanley, who started the game at left guard, now at right guard for the injured Corey Helms. Able to throw a strike on first down. That's when South Carolina will take their shots, is on those first down of series.
Near side, another powerful run from Williams. Brandon Durman brings him down. Will Muschamp, 1994 Georgia grad. Trying to get this team refocused. Some of the players said this week after their loss to Kentucky that maybe their heads got a little big, thinking that they were maybe a little bit better than they probably were.
Yeah, we got safety DJ Smith was talking about, hey, man, we might have gotten ahead of ourselves a little bit, and thinking that maybe we had already arrived with only one division win.
Another handoff to Williams. Jordan Bradford, the defensive tackle, with the stop. Well, I tell you what, you look at what they are doing with Williams. He has not been afraid. He has been their go-to guy to start this game. Dowdle hasn't touched the football yet.
Got Dowdle in the game now, but it certainly has been Tyson Williams so far in this game. And credit the offensive front, having been reshuffled back-to-back. Nice runs. One on a toss to the outside, and then right up the gut behind a rebuilt offensive guard lineup.
Bentley. Pass caught and then dropped. Is that a turnover? They'll say incomplete. Brian Edwards, for a moment, had his hands on it.
Coming into this game, Brian Edwards had been targeted more than any other receiver. You see him fighting for this ball, and it doesn't look like he ever really had control. And Meek Robertson, the true freshman, did a great job of breaking up that reception.
An extremely quick quarter comes to a close with Louisiana Tech leading 3-0. Louisiana Tech leads 3-0, but there's a bright side for South Carolina. They came in averaging 85 yards a game on the ground. And in the first quarter, these are their numbers. So there seems to be a dramatic improvement here today in what they're trying to do and how they're getting it done.
Part of it might be from a play call standpoint. The other is personnel. Tyson Williams getting there, getting a consistent look at that running back spot.
A.J. Turner near side. They'll swing it to him, and he'll get it over the 45 to the 46 and pick up 7 yards.
A.J. Turner's another guy. Good return man. They say that he'll get some action on some fly sweeps as well. We've only really seen one of those in this game so far. It went to Drake Davis. But A.J. Turner, that's a way to get him some more touches, especially if Williams looks to be the feature back of the offense so far.
So Williams to the right of Bentley. Loses the football, and he is tripped up back inside the 35-yard line. It is now 4th down.
Reminiscent of some of the mishaps last week versus Kentucky. It was false starts, and that time the snap was a little bit high and had some heat on it. Bentley got his hands up and was able to at least stay in front of it. Otherwise, South Carolina is going to lose appreciably more yardage on the bad center quarterback exchange.
Joseph Charlton back to punt it away for South Carolina right here in Columbia, averaging almost 44 yards a kick this year. Boy, a good high kick. Fair catch called for by Veal back around the 11-yard line. 53-yard punt. Time to get an update. Let's go to the studio. Dari, what's going on?
Well, Dave, Alabama strikes first on the road in Nashville after a nice Bo Scarborough run inside the 10. Scarborough bounces it outside. They strike first, 7-0, 5.5 to go, quarter number 1, guys.
You know, Vanderbilt's going to play some defense on you, but I thought that there might have been a little overconfidence maybe coming out of the Nashville area against the team at Alabama.
You beat Kansas State.
You don't want to poke the Bears.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
Exactly. No, it's he's not coaching anymore.
Oh,
but
okay, my bad.
But when you look at that matchup, there's no question. I mean, if there's a chance to catch a team that's better than you, sleepwalking, there's no reason to wake them up before kickoff.
First down and 10 for the Bulldogs. Loss of a yard. Smith making the play. He's getting some work today. Dante Sawyer with a bad hamstring, and that's a tough loss defensively for South Carolina, but Smith can fill up the hole for sure.
He can, and he flashed last week versus Kentucky. Kobe Smith, the guy that is heavy in the rotation, obviously going to be in there a lot today as South Carolina tries to keep their front fresh.
SN 6 pass is off near side, and it is caught. They'll say it's spotted around the 47-yard line to Rashid Bonnett's 37-yard pickup, and he beat the freshman Williams on the near side.
Jam Williams matched up versus possibly the fastest among a fast group of wide receivers for Louisiana Tech, and Bonnett, a guy that we talked about last week with that big 87-yard touchdown catch. Lucky that he drifted out of bounds when Williams was able to recover, but a big reception.
I've got Louisiana Tech out of the jam, backed up inside the 15. We'll see how they respond here from close to midfield. They'll go handoff with Kraft. He'll pick up a couple of yards. Sky Moore coming in to make the play, the fifth-year senior who did not play a year ago, obviously, had neck surgery. Coaches didn't even get a chance to see him in person, this staff, until he set foot on the practice field to begin fall practice.
So they really were surprised. They said, when we actually saw this guy out on the field with pads on when it mattered, how physical he was, how downhill he was willing to play. He's not just a speed guy or a space player, a guy who's willing to mix it up and play downhill in the box.
Throw to the far side. Coaches said that they love the arm of Jamar Smith. Great arm talent was the quote, and we just saw a little glimpse of that.
That time to Marlon Watts, and he just finds a soft spot in the zone, right behind Jamarcus King along the boundary. Between that soft spot between he and DJ Smith, he just settles down there right along the sideline.
Another clean pocket. This one sails into the cheerleaders.
J'Mar Smith lucky that pass sailed on him that time, because King jumped the route and was going to be underneath it. But you see the numbers and why the Louisiana Tech coaching staff is so excited in what they have in J'Mar Smith, a guy they think he was still kind of rounding into form. Sid versus Mississippi State, he got a little wide-eyed. It was a big stage for him. They needed to settle him down. They protected him with the run game. And he's played very efficiently so far with the passing attack in this matchup.
So on 2nd down and 10, Boston Scott in the backfield. They'll come near side with it. Here's Veal. 2 missed tackles by South Carolina, and he gets to the 25-yard line. But Smith does have some SEC ties. His dad happened to play at Alabama on the defensive line. Big Kenny Smith also played in the NFL for a number of years, but he was on an Alabama team back in '97 that lost to Louisiana Tech to kind of come full circle with it.
An SEC team dropping a team to his son's current school, huh? Well, J'Mar Smith, I mean, this is his 3rd SEC game that he started. He actually started at quarterback versus Arkansas last year, which was a near miss for Louisiana Tech in an upset of an SEC team.
Of course, Mississippi State earlier this year, and now he gets South Carolina. 3rd down and 5. The slant incomplete, no flags. Let's see what Skip Holtz wants to do on this 4th down and 5. Alfred Smith, the intended target, and he's going to bring out his field goal units.
He thought about it, that's for sure. You see J'Mar Smith looked like he maybe anticipated a chance to go for it in plus territory. Skip Holtz talked about it. Look, last week versus the game winner, Jonathan Barnes was over there calming me down. He feels like he's got a clutch weapon in his place kicker.
63 career field goals for Jonathan Barnes. This one from 43. Near hash, good clean snap. Kick is on the way. It is no good. Barnes now 7 of 9 on the year. So South Carolina gets the stop. Each team has missed a field goal. See if this doesn't come back to haunt the Bulldogs. We'll find out when we return. Don't forget, coming up tonight, 7:30, right here on the SEC Network. It's SEC Saturday Night Football. 20th ranked Florida and Kentucky. Cats trying to go 4-0, see if they can do it. It's also streaming live on the ESPN app. I know it's been told over and over again, but 30 straight victories for Florida over Kentucky.
That is unbelievable. That's worth mentioning.
Bentley pump fakes, nowhere to go, breaks a tackle, still on his feet, and he'll get it back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard. I mean, the fact that you got to go back to 1986 to me is just nuts. The Cats were here, obviously, last Saturday night, and may not have been the prettiest game, but they did things very well enough to walk out of here with a road win.
You know, if you give Kentucky one dimension to defend, and last week Kentucky was committed to stopping South Carolina on the ground, especially on the short yardage pieces. And they were able to do that. Florida, you know, so far offensively, not a very good rushing team, not the most prolific passing team. It's the defense you got to worry about scoring on them. You see a 2nd down play. At that time, able to get it, at least to the point where you've got it 3rd and manageable. Tyson Williams doing a good job of picking up positive yardage.
So 3rd down and 3. South Carolina 1 out of 3 on 3rd downs. Bentley over the middle, pass is caught over the 40. That is a 1st down for the Gamecocks after a 9-yard pickup to Brian Edwards.
This is a guy they need to step up. He's working up against a true freshman in Robertson. We've already seen one pass breakup on a 3rd down where Robertson was able to come back. That time Edwards, he kind of double clutched that catch a little bit. Had a couple of contested throws last week. Able to come up with the reception and move the chains.
He's had 5 catches in each of the first 3 games. Quick hitter, the slant is there. 1st down to the 45. 4-yard line of Louisiana Tech. That's a 14-yard pickup to Shi Smith, the true freshman out of Union, South Carolina.
Shi Smith, the guy that was able to get into the action, saw his first start in week 2. And that's just one of those run-pass options that's built into this offense. Something they like to do a lot of on first downs. That time threw it into an edge pressure. They brought slot blitz. That time Bentley able to find Smith.
Four-man rush going up top. As a man overthrows Brian Edwards. Time for another update, Dari.
All right, guys, thank you much. Let's update one more time. Alabama, Vanderbilt, and it is all tied. 2 plays, 70-yard drive. It ends with a touchdown run by Damian Harris. Bama has now scored more points than 3 other opponents have on Vanderbilt all season, guys.
Did I see 4 rush for 83 yards for Harris already? Whew.
Kind of a slow start. We'll get him going.
Second down. Nothing doing there. Maybe a loss of a yard as Jordan Bradford steps up to hit Williams. You surprised how much Williams we're getting? I mean,
I'm very surprised, actually. And, you know, maybe it's just a function of let's see what else we can get out of a quick personnel change. And we've hammered the fact that Deebo Samuel's not out there, but you can see the disparity. In the first 3 games, he's not getting many touches. Today, it's a steady diet. Tyson Williams. And he's earned it. He's done a great job of capitalizing on this opportunity other than that last carry.
How about no touches for Dowdle and no rushes for Turner? That one's picked off at the 40-yard line. Near side, Bentley dives to make the catch. They will say it'll be an interception for Aaron Roberson, the junior out of Shreveport, with the first turnover of the game.
He was trying to get it to Hayden Hurst. And Robertson was actually checking. He was over Chad Terrell and did a great job of adjusting to this throw. You see him break underneath. I don't know if Hurst broke off on the route, but a huge play for the Louisiana Tech Bulldog defense.
Hayden Hurst and Jake Bentley couldn't hook up on that last pass attempt, the 4th interception of the year for Bentley.
When we talk about trying to get the ball, and they're trying to squeeze it in here to Hurst, and what he's going to do is he's going to run and then pivot, and Bentley's going to expect him to come further out. And watch Hurst, when he comes out of the break, he just kind of settles down. Robertson's right there. He's just falling off zone coverage. He's passing off the receiver he's lined up over to the safety. You see Coach Bentley, Bobby Bentley, working with his son there, propping him up. They're going to need a lot more good football out of their quarterback. A great job by the Bulldog defense of getting the ball back for their offense and in positive territory. So far this season, though, the Gamecock defense has done a great job on these quick turns. No points off of turnovers allowed by South Carolina this year.
They were +4, now +3 in the turnover department. They'll come near side field, who dropped it and picks it up. They'll say incomplete, though. It'll be 2nd down and 10. It's one of those plays, though, if you're South Carolina offensively, it's a clean pocket, it's a simple play. You probably practiced 8,000 times. You're not thinking anything like that's going to happen.
And it's not as if, you know, credit Roberson, he did a fine enough job. The ball goes right to him, and he should be having to play through the tight end to get to that football. And instead, miscommunication between the quarterback and the receiver.
Smith swings it near side. This tackle allows Kraft to sneak for a yard. Sky Moore cleans it up. Sky Moore trying to be the first Gamecock player to lead the team in tackles 4 straight years.
He's a tremendous player. There's no question about it. And when we talk about his nose for the football, already 5 tackles in this contest. He can get sideline to sideline and play downhill, but it's his ability to read and react that I think sets him apart.
Potentially 14 players in the history of NCAA football have led their team in tackles 4 consecutive years.
Big 3rd down. We talked about this being a key to the game for South Carolina defensively. There's a QB draw that we talked about as well.
Smith dancing around, and he'll get it to the 35. Gain of 6. DJ Smith comes up to make the play, but now it's 4th down. And let's see, here comes the field goal unit again.
Back-to-back plays for the Carolina defense. Last week they got hurt in the screen game by Kentucky. They did a good job at the defensive line position, rallying to the ball behind the line of scrimmage, and then staying at home versus the QB run game. We were talking about that yesterday with defensive coordinator Travaris Robinson.
It's 52-yarder, his career long is 50. He's done it twice. Missed a moment ago from 43. This one is on the way, and it is good. It just did cross over the crossbar, and it's a new career long for Mr. Barnes.
Maybe he just needed to be challenged, huh, Dave? You had to miss earlier. Let's see if I can't do a PR, personal record, to get my team and spread the margin even more.
Just lean back and let it go. Just lean back and let it go.
Good look at Skip Holtz, who lost 5 all-league players from last year's team, including Conference USA MVP and quarterback Ryan Higgins. They also lost the Offensive Player of the Year and Special Teams Player of the Year in Carlos Henderson. I mean, you lose the kind of players they lost, you'd think that maybe they'd take a step back, but they're still picked to win their division, and some even think they can win the league, especially after they beat Western Kentucky last week.
They were able to pick up some talent. You know, you look at a couple of years ago, had to sit out last year in Teddy Veal, the Tulane transfer, and then of course some of these younger guys, more inexperienced, stepping up as well for Louisiana Tech.
Time for an injury update. Let's go visit Dawn.
Well, Dave, remember, South Carolina is already missing starting right tackle Zach Bailey with an ankle sprain. Well, now right guard Corey Helms got rolled up on that field goal attempt. He wobbled off the field, headed to the injury tent, then went to the locker room, has not returned since. No official update on him, but also want to let you know, Cedarius Hutcherson has been working with Zach Bailey. Zach Bailey has a boot on his foot, but he's still working with the young offensive lineman to try and get him ready for this game to step in.
Boy, basically, Don, you're missing your right side of your offensive line now without Helms or Bailey. 1st down and 10. They will run right with Bentley on a run-pass option, and he just sails it into the bench area. You know, and these are those times in the game when you go, boy, it sure would be nice to have Debo.
Yeah, I mean, let me just tell you, all the time it sure would be nice to have Debo. But especially when you're struggling offensively, you're looking for somebody to make a play. You certainly don't want to start out a possession coming off of a turnover with a throwaway under the boundary.
Swing it near side. There's A.J. Turner. Nice cutback move. Out over the 30 to the 31-yard line. That'll be a gain of 6. Russell Ferris on the tackle for the Bulldogs.
We talk about A.J. Turner. He hadn't had any carries in this game. Twice now he's been targeted, though, coming out of the backfield. Just swing it out there to him like a long handoff. Let him turn it into like a kick return out in space. It's a good way to get a touch to him at his running back position without having to hand it to him in the box.
Rico Dowdle is in the game at running back. No carries yet for Rico. They will throw again. Pass is caught. Out near the 40-yard line goes Hayden Hurst. That's a pickup of 8 and the 1st down.
And they're going to put Rico Dowdle in on these passing downs. He's the guy that they trust the most in protection. We'll see Hurst lined up just outside, number 81. Nothing real complex about this. You get the yards needed, turn around, show the quarterback your numbers, and give him a target. Bentley able to throw a strike, hit him right between the 8 and the 1. Something he wished he could have been able to do on the previous possession.
Had 48 catches last year. Handoff goes to Dowdle, and he'll pick up 7, getting it closer to midfield. Jarius Sneed, the sophomore, making the tackle from his safety spot.
Nice push inside that time. Whenever you're running an inside run and the safety is the first responder, the first guy that's making the tackle, that's some positive yards. That's a solid run on 1st down. And these are the 2nd down scenarios where you start thinking shot plays. South Carolina typically just wants to convert for the 1st.
off. We'll pick up a couple for Rico Dowdle. Marion King on the tackle. Well, we haven't called Jalen Ferguson's name much today. The talented defensive end for 45 for Louisiana Tech.
The guy that they were concerned about coming into this game. Last week, Dennis Daly, the left tackle, had a couple of early starts, backed up his team, but he's kept Jalen Ferguson quiet in this matchup so far.
Big hole for Dowdle, breaks a couple of tackles, almost got deep into the secondary. That'll be a 9-yard gain, and Cedric Cooper hanging on.
A lot of movement by the Louisiana Tech defensive front. And whenever you're kind of stunting and pirating your defensive front and you try to slant, if the offensive line is able to pick it up and cover up color for color, they can open up some big holes. That time we were able to see it yet again.
A.J. Turner, good open field tackle, picks up one. Bring up second down and call it about 8. We're talking offensive coordinator, certainly overall a good guy, and Kurt Roper. And second downs are his downs. He doesn't like it with 2nd and 8. Throwback to Hurst, who makes the catch. Nice play call. Go to your most consistent performer and Hayden Hurst to move the chains.
Back shoulder throw. When the defender is in phase with your receiver and is hip to hip, give your receiver a chance. And Hayden Hurst does a great job. Nice little nudge downfield on Demarion King. And Hurst showing why he's such a weapon. You know, a tight end that can run and understands nice body control to adjust to that ball in the back shoulder.
Bentley 10 of 16 for 100 yards. First down and 10. Play clock down to 2, down to 1. They just do get that snap off. A.J. Turner is hit almost the moment he got the football. No gain on the play. Eldrick Canty, the senior out of Baton Rouge, making the play, along with Scott.
And you said it, the play clock was winding down. They're looking to the sideline to get the adjustment. Looked like the Bulldogs might have been in the neutral zone as that ball was snapped. It took so long to get that play started. A great job by the Bulldogs that time on the underneath. Really nowhere to go.
10th play of the drive. Rico Dowdle to the right of Bentley. To the corner, and that one is incomplete. There are no flags. Looking for Hayden Hurst in the corner of that end zone. The crowd over there wanted a flag. Not going to get one, but Demarion King step for step with Mr. Hurst.
Great coverage that time by King. Really great coverage on the previous reception by King as well. Tough on those back shoulders, but King does a great job. There's contact, sure, but King's right there between the ball and the receiver. He's got his head around. He's playing the ball in the air. That was very well defended. Yeah, big third down for South Carolina. And just here on the red zone fringe, they've done a good job able to convert on this drive.
Corner pressure, and Bentley goes down at the 30-yard line. Delayed blitz from the corner spot. Robertson came in there and just blew the play up. Loss of 7.
They had it protecting back to this side. Rico Dowdle just guesses wrong. Robertson comes inside, and Dowdle went outside. Robertson's able to slide inside, able to get the tackle, and a big play on a third down.
Timeout. 4th down coming up. 49 seconds to go before halftime.
Less than a football minute on the Auto Owners Insurance Halftime Report. You'll see us, Dari Noka, Chris Doering, Gene Chizik, how Arkansas A&M went into overtime again. Tennessee escapes. Quick thoughts on the game?
South Carolina's got guys open, but protection issues won't let Bentley get the ball out to him.
They got to get a run game going, too.
Yeah, surprise so far in Columbia. We'll see you in a bit.
Thanks, guys. Coach Chiz, well, he's very succinct, isn't he?
Yeah, man.
Run the ball.
Yeah, listen to that guy. That's a defensive mind speaking right there.
46-yard field goal attempt on the way. Off the foot of Parker White. It is no good, and now South Carolina has missed back-to-back field goals to get this one going. They missed from 34 earlier in the game on their opening drive. This from 46.
Good setup with a short field. You got to be able to take advantage of it, though. The defense being put in bad positions all half for South Carolina.
Well, Parker White, who was here at South Carolina last year but not a part of the football team, walked on in the spring, battled for the job, gets it today, and he has missed 2 field goals. And overall, South Carolina kickers are now 1 for 7.
That's brutal. And these have been far more makeable attempts in this game. Some of this, I think, mentally is carryover from last week versus Kentucky. You had 2 50-plus yard attempts for Parker White. Obviously, Alexander Wozniak got the last attempt from 42.
Louisiana Tech will swing it to the outside. That's Boston Scott, and that'll be a loss of 5 on the play. Chris Lamons coming up to make a play. And don't forget, coming up at halftime, you can watch the live performance of the Gamecocks' mighty Sound of the Southeast. SEC Network Plus. You can start streaming now on the ESPN.
Yeah, go Dogs.
Well, if you're Louisiana Tech, you got to be relatively pleased. Now, you missed on an opportunity on a short field, quick change on a turnover, but otherwise you've been able to move the ball relatively well versus South Carolina. Established a couple of long drives here in this first half.
Little play action near side pass caught, steps out of bounds as Marlon Watts. Gain of 7 on the play. That'll leave just 2 seconds on the clock before halftime. Jamar Smith, 11 of 15, 110 yards. Louisiana Tech, 140 yards of offense. South Carolina right around 154. Gamecocks have had it for over 17 minutes today. They only had it for 23 minutes against Kentucky. Little delay handoff. That will do it for the first half of football. And for South Carolina, they got to figure out some things offensively, and they got to figure out their kicking game. They'll trail 6-0 at the break here in Columbia, South Carolina. So time for us to get into the studio and visit with Dari and the gang. Guys, all yours.
All right, David Stinch, thank you much. Time for the Auto Owners Insurance Halftime Report. Dari Noka, Chris Doering, Gene Chiswick. A slow start, special teams doing them no favors. Not just not having Deebo Samuel, but field goal unit has been unsuccessful too.
I don't think I've ever heard of a team being 1 for 7 on the season with 3 missed last week, 2 more today. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, they missed 3 last week. But here's the thing. South Carolina's offense right now, they haven't had a running game yet. And if they don't get a running game going, you can't put everything on the quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So right now, yes, Jake Bentley's been good. His numbers aren't off the chart. But now you got your best player on the sideline. You can't make the quarterback win every football game, CD. Yeah. They've got to get a running game going. They're only one of 4 or 5 teams that haven't had a 100-yard rush game yet this season. And right now it doesn't look like
this is a perfect defense to do it against, though. Louisiana Tech, 102nd or something like that in the FBS against the run. They give up over 200 yards a game, but I don't see the intention by the coaching staff to run that, to develop the run a little bit. I think that's an offensive line issue as well. They've struggled to open up holes all season long, Dari.
2.8 yards a carry. That's what South Carolina has on 19 carries, 54 yards to this point as we send it back down to Columbia. Don Davenport now with Will Muschamp.
Well, Coach, offensively, you've been able to move the ball, but what has to change to finish drives?
Well, we've killed ourselves. We threw into a rolled-up corner. We missed a protection on 3rd down. So we've just shot ourselves in the foot, and we missed 2 field goals.
Defensively, you hold them to just 2 field goals. What has to continue on that side of the ball?
Well, we're negating the run game a lot, and we hadn't, other than the one explosive on our sideline, we haven't given up any explosives.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, let's update what's going on in Nashville right now. A lot of buzz around this Vandy-Bama game. As we know, the Tide has won 21 straight on the field against Vanderbilt. First quarter scoreless early on. Kyle Shermer throws, tipped, picked his first interception of the year, Coach.
This is what you see Alabama do. I mean, turnovers, it's unbelievable what they're able to accomplish, and they do it in a lot of different ways.
31 straight games with a turnover, and then or turnover forced, and then off the tip.
As if Alabama needs any luck either, right, Dari?
Cam Sims on the rebound, so to speak. Yeah. You know what? What's the biggest thing you can't do when you're playing Bama?
Can't turn the football over.
Can't turn it over, right?
Did it twice so far today.
Right.
Only one time the entire season to this point in time, so certainly Vanderbilt's not doing themselves any favors.
Alabama, by the way, has just said, we're going to run you over. That was Bo Scarborough, now Damian Harris. How about 160 yards on 20 carries? That's 8 yards a rush for Bama against the #1 statistical defense in the country.
And don't think they haven't heard that all week. Don't
Right.
you think the offensive line has not heard that all week long?
#1 statistical defense in the country. They'd only given up 13 points, so #1 in scoring defense, too. Bama had 14 less than 12 minutes into the game.
You know what I saw from Alabama today was emotion, though. And sometimes when you go to play in Nashville against Vanderbilt, I've been on that sideline before. It's normally a dead stadium. Now the atmosphere is much different today. But you know, as you mentioned, that they were challenged this week to be able to run the football against a great stout defense statistically, and then prove that they're the better defense on the team. We've seen both of those things so far today.
Yeah, and offensively, you know what it looks like? They said, we're Alabama, you're Vanderbilt. We're going to run this ball until you stop us. Yeah. And they haven't stopped it yet. You're seeing, I mean, what doesn't matter whether it's Bo Scarborough, whatever tailback is running the ball. And we haven't even seen a lot of quarterback runs yet. They said, we're going to run it with a tailback until you stop us. And right now they can't.
227 yards, or 220 yards, I should say, for Alabama. 37 for Vanderbilt as they are still early in the second quarter. 21 to zip. We'll keep you posted. We're certainly keeping an eye on that one. Meanwhile, what's going on right now at Williams-Brice? The band is on the field, and that's okay. There's not a kickoff coming right now. It's the mighty sound of the Southeast. You can see it by checking out SEC Network Plus. But right now, look, the band members aren't even in the end zone. 6-0, Louisiana Tech with the lead. Little defense for the Bulldogs. We're back in a moment.
This halftime report is presented by Auto Owners Insurance. For whatever lies ahead, we're always there. Auto Owners Insurance. Find your agent today at AutoOwners.com. Welcome back to the Auto Owners Insurance halftime report.
Arkansas, Texas A&M, the home of the Dallas Cowboys. Since joining the SEC, the Aggies 5-0 against the Razorbacks. Second quarter, 1st and 10, Aggies down 2 scores. Kellen Mond. Kellen Mond may go.
Arkansas's defense did a good job in the first quarter for the most part, except giving up an 81-yard touchdown to Christian Kirk on a busted coverage, and that one losing contained for a 79-yard.
He gets into the end zone, CD. It's called a touchdown at least there, but the official thought he went out of bounds. A terrible call. So the ball comes back to the 10-yard line. That is not a reviewable play when a player is called out of bounds. All right, anyway, led to a field goal. We go into overtime. We fast forward way ahead. Kellen Mond, touchdown.
That's what people have been looking for right there. Christian Kirk, Kellen Mond, money when they need it.
Hogs need a touchdown. Austin Allen picked by Armani Watts. And again, overtime heartbreak in this series for the Razorbacks. But we did get to see Kellen Mond really with a chance to shine and grow, and he was able to do it.
Well, I thought on the whole here, both of these teams, for as many issues that they've had, this was a well-played football game. I thought it was clean for the most part.
Absolutely.
I thought there was back and forth. It was punch, counter punch, very entertaining. But in the end, A&M, a team that I probably had thrown on the trash heap at this point in time, finds a way to win. They showed a lot of heart. They were down 21-7. And it started with Christian Kirk. You mentioned the playmaker showing up today. 246 total yards in terms of receiving and returns, 3 touchdowns. That's leading your team to victory.
If you're going to give coaches criticism, then let's give them compliments too. Because I'll tell you what, Kevin Sumlin did a great job with this football team today. For them to come back down 21-7 and finish the game like they just did, to me was great. But yes, the playmakers came to fruition. First of all, Kellen Mond, week by week, is earning the respect of everybody on his football team. He takes unbelievable hits. He pops back up. He's great with his legs, as we saw right now, but he's starting to throw the ball well too, CD. Yeah. For you to hit that 7-cut or that corner route in overtime with the game on the line to your best receiver, that's money, and that's what he needs to do.
Yeah, he may have found a quarterback. You're such a coach. Give him credit, too.
Hey, I mean, yes.
It's more than fair, and I'm just joking.
Very fair.
Yes, it is.
We're all about fairness.
That's right.
All right. How about Tennessee? You're going to get to give some credit here, too. Tennessee taking on UMass.
Well, UMass deserves credit.
Minutemen 0-4 on the season. That was Chris Berman. Boomer. Second quarter. He's a special assistant coach for UMass in this game.
There's another one of those cuts, Coach.
Yeah, Quentin Dormady, nice throw to Tyler Bird. It's 14-6 Vols. To the fourth we go. UMass with the football and a chance to win. The win was a long shot, but to honor Chris Berman, they had a chance.
Good.
Thank you. 17-13. Anybody who's been in Bristol for a while can. Go ahead. How justify what happened on the field today to Tennessee fans?
I can't justify that, and that's the whole point. Again, look, you got a sluggish first half. We've seen that with a few other games this season with lower-ranked opponents, right? This team was 0-4. Here's the reality of it. When you come out at halftime, I want to fire. I don't know what he said to him in there, but he should have said something that sparked something. They had 19 total yards in the third quarter offensively, and the bottom line is they had a 3rd and 3 at the end of the game to seal it, get the first down, couldn't convert on a 3rd and 3, gave them a chance to win it at the end, meaning UMass. That's not good.
You talked about those 19 yards. A lot of it had to do, I thought, with the offense being disjointed. They took Dormady out after I thought he was really good in the final drive, led him to a touchdown before they went to the locker room. And Garantano's 3 possessions, 3 and out, 3 and out, 5 and out, and they really never got any sort of rhythm going in the second half.
17-13. It's a win. It's going to get a lot tougher. Georgia comes to town next week for Tennessee. All right. It's been ugly for South Carolina. Jake Bentley here. Bad snap. He loses it. Takes a sack. 6-0 Louisiana Tech. Welcome back. There it is, Between the Hedges, the site of the biggest game in this conference, arguably the biggest game in this conference. Georgia and Mississippi State. Who's the next best team to Bama?
We love physical games. There's not any doubt in everybody's mind that this is going to be a physical encounter on Saturday night.
You got to play with great discipline and not get into a trash-talking match and just make it about discipline and execution.
Whatever it takes, 'cause I love the adrenaline in my veins. I do whatever it takes.
They pride themselves on running the ball, so if we stop the run, that'll definitely make a big statement.
We practice physical, tough every day, and we come out with that mindset that we have to stop the run.
If we can stay balanced, 50-50 run pass, that makes them have to defend all 11 players on the field.
A game that you have to win if you want to keep moving up in the rankings. You want to have a chance to play in Atlanta at the end of the season.
Yeah, that one's a marquee opportunity for Mississippi State to go on the road and get a huge statement victory. You're Mississippi State. How do you make that happen?
Well, it's not about Mississippi State's offense. It's about their defense. And I think that's the thing that they've made the most improvement on this year, Coach. They've really become very aggressive behind Todd Grantham and that new scheme that they've kind of employed there. I like the defensive line, the penetration that they get. They dominated LSU's offensive line last week. And this is a Georgia offensive line that we have some question marks about. They were the Achilles heel last year. They've improved a little bit this year, but tonight will be the true test. Get some penetration, get some push, see what you can do there to slow that run game down for Georgia.
You're Georgia, Chiz.
Same thing defensively, no doubt. Got to stop the inside run game, got to stop the outside run game. But my young quarterback, I'm not going to put the game in his hands. I'm going to put it in the hands of the tailback and the offensive line. Take some shots down the field, but win it with defense.
Can that offensive line hold that defensive line and the front seven for Mississippi State back? All right, another big game. Our finale, in fact, on the SEC ESPN Network, 7:30 Eastern from Kroger Field there in Lexington, Kentucky. The Cats with what they feel may be their best shot yet to snap that 30-game skid against the Gators.
Coach, one of the obvious questions off the field this week is how long it's been since Kentucky has defeated Florida. How do you address that with your team in preparation for this game?
Yeah, not much really. We brought it up. We talked about it briefly. If somebody wants to use that as motivation, within the team, that's fine. But these guys weren't even born 30 years ago. We're worried about this year. Each and every year, it's a new year, and really every week, it's a new week. We have to play good football this week.
What do you take from the win last week at South Carolina that you can build upon this week against Florida?
Just like you just asked me in the previous question, it's a one-week season to us. So we did some good things. We're going to try to build on it, try to clean up some of the mistakes and the turnovers that we had. But this week we have to play with the same type of intensity and the same structure within the offense and defense and special teams. So we have to play a clean game, that's for sure.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, you each get a team, but I'm not going to let you be Florida. You're Florida. How do you go in there and make it 31 straight?
I let my defense do what my defense does. Without question right now, they've got a great front four that can put pressure on people. But I'm going to get these new guys, Malik Davis, Kadarius Toney. I'm getting them the football today. They showed me flashes last week that they're real. I'm doing that, and I'm making sure that my quarterback has easy access throws, success earlier in the game, so that we have a quick start.
All right, Gator, you're Kentucky.
I'm Kentucky. So as Kentucky, what they did last week that they didn't do in the first 2 games of the season, they were physical on the offensive line. They got back to their roots from last year, running the football well. It'll be a challenge today because I think the strength of Florida's defense is that defensive line. If you want to be the best, which Kentucky wants to be, they want to get to Atlanta, they got to beat this team that's beaten them for 30 years in a row. It starts with the offensive line's mentality.
An awesome finale on our network. At the same time, you're going to have that game and Georgia-Mississippi State over on ESPN. So we've got a lot of big SEC football for us. How about Asia Wilson at halftime? Part of Dawn Staley's national champion Gamecock women's basketball team. Maybe a spark provided for the football team. 6-0. They trail. Second half is next.
This halftime report is presented by Auto Owners Insurance. For whatever lies ahead, we're always there. Auto Owners Insurance. Find your agent today at AutoOwners.com.
Well, for the 6th time in the last year and a half, South Carolina has been shut out in a half. That is tied for the most in FBS football. They trail 6-0 here after 2 quarters of play. Dave Neal back alongside Matt Stinchcomb. And Matt, I guess if you're Will Muschamp, your defense holds up against a really good offense, but you're just not getting anything offensively. How do you get it going in some way, some capacity?
You got to capitalize on your opportunities, obviously. We're looking at it right now. The missed field goals are a concern, but also, the difficulty, once you get on the red zone fringe, you're in scoring position, and you're incapable of taking advantage of that. You have to be able to jump on those right now, especially when you're dealing with a football team that not only is replacing a big contributor. We talk about Deebo Samuel. Corey Helms no longer going to be available at his guard position, and obviously no Zach Bailey, an offense that needs to find its footing quite literally. And right now, Louisiana Tech playing with confidence, having gone into the halftime with the lead and getting the ball to start here this second half.
South Carolina, 154 yards of offense, 36 plays run in that first half. 26 plays, 148 yards for Louisiana Tech. And South Carolina had over 17 minutes of possession. For Louisiana Tech, certainly this is a balanced offense and starts with their quarterback, who had a good first half, Jamar Smith.
When we talk about not allowing Rashid Barnett behind you, because he is a guy that can break out in his receiver position, then just a bad ball, bad decision, and a miscommunication between Bentley and his tight end, and then poor protection when you're in a scoring opportunity, at the very least, to have a closer field goal attempt on the red zone fringe. You miss yet another, and it results in being blanked for 2 quarters for South Carolina, a 6-point margin for Louisiana Tech. Neither offense overly prolific.
Bulldogs from the 25. That pass is through a couple of hands. Let's get an update with Dawn.
Well, Dave, don't be surprised if Coach Skip Holt opens it up a little bit offensively. He said he wanted to be conservative in the first half because South Carolina held on to the ball so long. He wanted to help his defense. He was worried that they were going to wear out. So he said they're going to work on running the ball in the second half, and they're going to open it up a little bit. He did say he loves the way his guys are playing, that they are a confident football team right now.
Yeah, I think that's pretty apparent. Dawn, they do not look like they are intimidated. They've already played Mississippi State. Had a big win on the road last week against Western Kentucky. Boy, nice little play fake right there from J'Mar Smith. Gets 3.5 out of that play.
No question. You know, you've earned it in the first 2 quarters. Clearly the stage not too big for Louisiana Tech, and as you mentioned, Dave, you know, they've already been on the road versus a Southeastern Conference team. You know, they're a group of 5 team, obviously, in the Conference USA. But having had that experience already, I think is paying dividends. J'Mar Smith, not a ton of starting experience, but clearly comfortable in the environment here today.
On 3rd down, Smith will loft it up in the air, and that one is going to be flagged, and I think it's a good call. Rashid Bonnet covered by Jam Williams, and it looked like right at the end, Jam grabbed an arm or a jersey.
Pass interference on the defense, number 21. Penalty is 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
You see Williams singled up right there in the slot versus Bonnet. And yeah, the jersey grab right there, and it's the fact that the ball was underthrown. It brings Bonnet back inside. It would have been hard to make that catch, I think, even if Williams hadn't grabbed him. He would have had to make an adjustment through the defender.
Inside handoff to Boston Scott. Sky Moore again there to make a tackle, now with 7 tackles today. Needed a few tackles today to bump into the top 10. Needed 25.
You see Louisiana Tech coming into this game, you know, they'd use that rushing attack to kind of insulate their quarterback in J'Mar Smith. And when we talked with Todd Fitch, he said, look, we feel as if he's matured enough to where the game has slowed down. Now we run the ball when we would otherwise want to, not necessarily to avoid passing downs.
J'Mar pump fakes and he'll run it out of bounds. Picks up 2 yards on the play. It'll be 3rd down coming up now for Louisiana Tech. J'Mar Smith, also a member of the Louisiana Tech baseball team. An outfielder. Not a whole lot of at-bats last year, but showing you some versatility when you can play at the Division I level 2 sports. Pretty good skill set.
I'll be able to juggle the fact you're a student athlete, a starting quarterback, and you can play a spring sport like that. That's impressive to say the least. Only 24 hours in a day, he's using all of it.
I use all mine, I just sleep most of it.
That's right.
There goes Scott in motion. Play clock down to 2. They get the snap off cleanly. Pressure comes. Pass is caught, they're going to say, at the 44 by Teddy Veal. It slides to the turf. Gain of 8.
Teddy Veal, where are you going to try to get the football? How about to your most experienced receiver? Teddy Veal doing a good job playing through Lamons. Lamons in coverage at his safety position. Teddy Veal got the top of his route. A little physical there towards the top of it to create just enough separation for J'Mar Smith to fit that football in there.
Scott trying to turn the corner inside the 40 to the 39. Let's go downstairs. Dawn, what do you got?
Well, you guys were talking about J'Mar Smith and playing baseball. Because of that, he really didn't have an offseason all through high school and his first year at college. But he told me this year he revamped his offseason in the film room. He would go in early, watch film, nap on a couch there, watch more film. He said he'd be there until about 11:30 at night, and the coaches say they can tell a big difference in his play because of it.
So you got to get that nap in there, Stitch. It's an important part of the day. I keep telling you.
Well, I got to squeeze that in somewhere. Just busy trying to keep up with you.
2nd down coming up for Louisiana Tech inside the South Carolina 40. The slant. That one goes to Veal again, and that'll be another Louisiana Tech first down after an 11-yard pickup. And there's that big play. We talked about big plays, but they are nickel and diamond South Carolina here this afternoon.
They are, and they've been able to sustain drives, something that we didn't necessarily anticipate coming into this.
quick snap for the 25-yard line.
We mentioned it, in the meetings yesterday. They've been able to feast off of big plays, and really they've done a good job, has South Carolina defensively, of not allowing Louisiana Tech receivers to get loose. They had one to Bonnet early on in the first half, but otherwise, you're exactly right, Dave. It's been the intermediate routes where they've had success offensively.
Wide open on the hash. Big play, first down. Inside the 10 goes Veal. He's to the 5 and dropped there. That's a gain of 19 yards.
Just fitting it into a window. Was able to do that. And Veal once again showing why he is the top receiver for Louisiana Tech. He's a sure-handed guy to be able to get open, get loose, and if that ball's catchable, number 9 is gaining the confidence of his quarterback with each reception.
How about Veal? 9 catches last week, 7 for 62 today. Underneath throw, incomplete. Trying to hit Kraft with it.
He did this in the red zone last week where they kind of fake a screen to the left. They're going to roll back out right on a sprint out. That time well defended by the South Carolina defense, and an opportunity now to try to capture some momentum here, because obviously Louisiana Tech got the ball and have marched this football right down the field. You see shift into a Wildcat set.
Cam McKnight, their big back. They do a lot of different things with him in short yardage situations. They actually list him as a wide receiver, but he goes 6'2", 220.
And he must have had a couple of trips to the pregame meal, because he's at 232 right there. Last year he had 15 rushes for 7 touchdowns. All he does is get it in the end zone. That's the big short yardage back that this Tech Bulldog offense uses, especially when they get down around the goal line. This time, though, Jamar Smith will stay to take the snap.
Veal comes in motion. He'll slide into the slot. They'll work this side of the field, dump it off underneath. There's a touchdown as Veal gets walloped at the goal line, but Louisiana Tech will take the 6. Lamont hit him at the goal line, but Veal holds on.
What a drive by Louisiana Tech. You establish yourself here in the second half, march it right down the field, get in the end zone. It's worth losing your helmet. And Veal, who was huge on this drive, able to get it in there for 6.
"75-yard drive, 12 plays. Point after is up and good. And it took over 6 minutes. Teddy Veal was a guy that came from Tulane. They had a coaching change. He was looking for a place to play, found Louisiana Tech, sat out last year. He led Tulane with 48 grabs and 15. You know he's got the talent. He's starting to show it to the folks at Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech's offense opens up the second half with a fantastic drive. They lead 13-0, and Teddy Veal is the man. Look what he has done the last 2 games. 143 yards on 17 catches. Only 6 in the first couple of contests.
I think part of that is because he was able to slide inside and play that slot receiver position. They said he is a natural in there. Was kind of out of position, out of necessity in the first couple of games.
Through the end zone. Hey, don't forget, Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern, check out Greg McElroy and Marcus Spears in their new SEC Network football show, Thinking Out Loud. Catch it also streaming live on the ESPN app. Those guys talk football from different perspectives, one on offense, one on defense. And, of course, you are encouraged to participate through social media and live call. As a matter of fact, I might be involved this Monday. I'm kind of open, loose.
Call in,
I might check in with the boys.
Got some free time in that nap schedule?
That's about the time I wake up from the nap. That's when that gets going.
Nice and refreshed. Big drive here for South Carolina. You have to be able to answer Otherwise, you start worrying about the mentality of your team and your sideline after Louisiana Tech just marched it right down the field.
If there is a positive offensively right now, it's this guy, Tyson Williams, who has carried the load in the run game.
He does a great job that time bouncing the run outside. We've seen Carolina assert itself a couple of different times up front and able to get Williams downhill.
Near side, that pass is caught out to the 43-yard line. That's a pickup of 8. That one goes to Ortre Smith, a true freshman from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, down there in the Charleston area.
Ortre's another one of those guys that's going to get some more playing time, obviously, with the absence of Samuel, a guy they're looking to get going with that big body outside on the perimeter.
Bentley pump fakes, then has a man. The slant works. Big play inside the 35, down to the 34. It's Brian Edwards. A gain of 23.
We mentioned the guys that needed to step up. We saw Hayden Hurst a couple of times in the first half. Edwards was targeted, but this is the first time he's been able to break out. And these are the plays that they're going to need out of number 89.
Going up top, looking for 6. Bobbled and dropped in the end zone. Trying to get Edwards. Robertson on the coverage.
You can see why defensive coordinator Blake Baker was excited about Robertson. He's a true freshman. Let's him get that hand in there and disrupt the pass. That was not interference. That was excellent defense by number 21. Well-placed ball, just well defended.
Inside handoff. Loose football, and Louisiana Tech says they have it. And they do. The second turnover of the game for the Tech defense. Canty comes up with the football.
Well, right when South Carolina looked like they were getting into a rhythm, they get into plus territory and take a shot downfield. It's narrowly broken up. And then you put it on the deck. A team that's done a great job of protecting the football in South Carolina, once again giving it back to the Bulldogs.
(13-0). Louisiana Tech out in front of South Carolina, and this is an uphill battle that South Carolina has not been able to climb for a long time. The last time they won after trailing by 13 or more points was against Vanderbilt back in 2014. That's the story now as the Bulldogs have it from the 34-yard line. Smith comes near side. Pass is caught. That's a first down up over the 45-yard line. Give him a dozen to Bunnett. To Marcus King back there to make the tackle.
You know, it's an easy completion. You know, playing versus soft coverage. Obviously, you don't want Bunnett to get behind you. This hole that has been dug in this game already. You missed the field goals, you missed opportunity in the red zone, and then 2 turnovers. And already, coming into this game, we knew that South Carolina was going to be searching for how they were going to generate offense without their best playmaker, a guy that could help in the run and receiving game. And Samuel. Tyson Williams was contributing, but he also had the big turnover to give the Bulldogs this possession.
Kraft. And he just powers his way into South Carolina territory, picks up 5 for more. Let's go down to Dawn.
Well, Dave Stinch, you guys were talking about worrying about the mentality of a team like South Carolina in a game like this. A lot of head shaking down here. Also, 13-0 is nothing. That's what defensive line coach Lance Thompson just told his boys. He said, as long as you don't look at it, it's not a big deal. The minute you start looking at it, it is a big deal. Go play the next ball. You have to do it now.
Well, they've got to certainly lock in here and slow down Louisiana Tech. They're not only just driving the football, they have been methodical. They're chewing up clock. From the 48. That one is overthrown. Teddy Veal, the intended target. What do you make of this young man, Jamar Smith?
I'll tell you what, he's had a whale of a game so far. And their concern with him was mainly to make sure that he doesn't put the ball in jeopardy. that he protects the football. So far in this game versus a defense that's done a good job with takeaways. Coming into this matchup, South Carolina had 7 takeaways. That was among the best in the country. Louisiana Tech has done an excellent job of protecting the football while still being efficient in the passing game with Jamar Smith.
All day to throw over the middle. Pass is caught. First down. Cam McKnight, the big body, 232 pounds, tells us he's got the first down after a 19-yard pickup. DJ Brunson finally drags him to the turf.
You know, it's only a 3-man rush. And you've got a nice clean pocket to throw in, but the difference is that you're throwing into 8 defenders. Still not able to get open.
That pass is caught inside the 15. I'll tell you what, Jamar Smith has got some arm strength. He has thrown some serious seeds today.
That was the other thing. You know, the Skip Holtz talked about when we asked Todd Fitch, the play caller, you know, what do you like in him? What's his skill set? And he says, well, he's got some arm talent. There's no two ways about it. Well, some of the more intangibles, the fact that he's managed the pocket well at times today. He wasn't anxious to ever flush, although the protection has been excellent, especially versus, you know, the 3- and 4-man rush it looks that South Carolina's given. But his accuracy has been impressive as well.
First down and 10. They'll go on the ground. And Scott will pick up 3, but had a chance for a loss of a couple of yards, but a broken tackle will allow Scott to move forward.
We're going to do it by committee. You know, Scott, Jared Kraft, both guys that are going to contribute on the ground. There's not a ton of touches as we've seen. Louisiana Tech clearly more comfortable with their passing attack after 3 contests. Heading into this season, they were going to lean on that rushing attack. Credit the coaching staff. They've done a good job. It seems to have paid dividends with the confidence we're seeing in their quarterback.
Second down. Here's Scott. He cuts it back, but nowhere to go. Only a yard. Taylor Stallworth, first man there, the senior defensive tackle from Mobile, Alabama, and Scott loses his helmet. Trying to find it. Can't find it. Nobody had it.
And literally lost his helmet. Didn't just come off, but now I don't know where it is. Comes out of the game. As we mentioned, he and Kraft somewhat interchangeable.
Scott just 5'6", but 200 pounds. And here comes Kraft back on the field.
Third down, a chance for the South Carolina defense to hold. But a chance also to pick up a first down and still not score. They can move the sticks and get a fresh set.
A stun up front, causing problems, but Smith gets out of there. Trying to throw on the run, and that one is picked off. Did he stay in bounds? Yes! Interception, South Carolina inside the 5. Jamarcus King with a nice catch.
Coach Robinson dialing up pressure just in time. When we talked about the clean pocket, this time Smith is forced to flush. Jamarcus King is able to track. When a quarterback's rolling right, those receivers, they're going to break towards the boundary. If they're towards the middle of the field, they're going to try to come back to their quarterback. Jamarcus King turns into a receiver and does a great job of getting underneath this pass. It looks like he possesses it. I think that's a really clean look at it.
Left foot down, possession, 2 hands around the football, and see if that doesn't spark the Gamecocks, because my goodness, do they ever need a spark. Jamarcus King's interception sets up South Carolina inside their own 5, but Gamecocks need something positive to happen here. It has been a long afternoon at Williams-Brice Stadium. Rico Dowdle with the carry. Just his 4th carry today. That's a gain of 5.
We're just talking about a 2-possession ball game here, and you're in your coming out offense. It's a specific set of plays when you're on your own goal line. That's a nice opening run by Rico Dowdle to give the offensive play caller Kurt Roper a little bit of room to work with and get off his own goal line.
Little pump fake, tuck and run for Bentley, and he is to the 10. He'll be 3 yards shy of the first down.
That's what we talk about with Bentley. He's See him clapping, trying to get his guys jacked up a little bit. He knows it's a big possession. You know, they got to answer some of these calls. They were driving, end up with a fumble, give the ball right back to Louisiana Tech. Their defense is able to bail them out with the turnover of their own. A little bit of a scramble to make it 3rd and manageable.
3rd and a long 2. South Carolina 4 of 8 on 3rd downs today. That's Hurst in motion. Good chip block. And a nice catch out at the 25-yard line. Jacob August, the 3rd tight end, slips free and picks up 14 and a big first down.
Slips free is right. That's a perfect description, Dave. They don't target August very often. And that time he's able to go up. Look at the extension and the concentration. That's a great job for a guy who doesn't get a ton of targets and a big conversion for his offense.
Yeah, his first catch of the year. Here comes some pressure. South Carolina picks it up, and a flag comes in. Boy, Bentley had an opportunity to get rid of the football, but he tucked it, and is sacked for a loss of 5. Meek Robertson, who's having a whale of a day.
Number 77 on the offense. Penalties declined. 2nd down.
That's Malik Young, who's in there for injured Zach Bailey. One of 2 injury replacements that we've seen. You see at the top of your screen, late pressure. Malik Young just overextends. And Meek Robertson has made some game-changing plays in this game, that's for sure.
6 tackles, a couple of sacks, 2 passes broken up by Robertson. Coach has said he has just been a stud, and he's been that way today. Pass caught at the 26-yard line, a gain of 6 for Chad Terrell. Another one of those true freshmen. 3 of them getting some work today. Shi Smith, Trey Smith, and Chad Terrell.
And all those guys, they're needing to step up. Bunch of young guys at that. You know, we're talking about freshmen, true freshmen that are having to contribute. They're going to need to do that anyway. You know, all that's not driven just by the absence of Samuel. You can't talk enough about, you know, this offense for South Carolina. If it's not a penalty, it's a negative yardage play to get them behind in the down and distance to set up this 3rd and long.
6 coming on pressure. Pass is caught. Let's see where they spot it. It's real close to the line to make. A gain of 8 to Edwards.
It is close. I mean, he kept kind of sliding upfield. It looked like he might have marked him a yard shy.
Boy, now it's 4th down and inches, and you had a tough time picking up a yard last week.
Went up short twice. Some 4th down attempts. Obviously, we were able to convert on one of them, a 4th and 6 that resulted in a touchdown. And this is where South Carolina, and that front's got to assert itself to pick up the inches needed.
Boy, they're going to go for it here and see if they can get Louisiana Tech to jump. They don't. They snap it, handoff, and Dowdle has it and has the first down. Got just enough to get over the 35.
For a moment there, I thought, Dave, they were going to try to draw him off sides with a hard count and then maybe audible to something. They didn't. They just wanted to get downhill with Dowdle.
Well, 2 first downs on this drive that started inside the 5-yard line after an interception by King. South Carolina trailing here at home as we have played 3 quarters. 4th quarter football coming up in a matter of moments. South Carolina fans getting ready for the 4th quarter. They need some offense. 2-possession game, and for the Gamecocks, they just picked up a 4th and short. That is certainly a step in the right direction from last week. As you look at our game summary through 3 quarters, Teddy Veal has just been a beast for Louisiana Tech. 8 catches, had 9 last week. Again, kicking woes for South Carolina. They have missed 2 field goals today. Both of those coming from Parker White from 34 and 46. 1st down and 10 from the 35. Nowhere to go for Dowdle. He backpedals, and he'll end up losing a couple of extra yards, breaking that tackle.
Louisiana Tech playing tremendous defense in this game so far. Now, they've been aided by some missed field goals, sure, but this is a team coming into this contest that was hemorrhaging yards on the ground. And you can see so far this season, the fourth quarter, they've been shutting teams out. That does not bode well for an offense that has yet to get on the board in South Carolina.
Last week they held Western Kentucky to 18 yards on 15 plays in the final 15 minutes. Trying to get it out to Hurst. He scoops it off his shoelaces, breaks 2 tackles, and then a big collision near the first down marker. He'll pick up 12, needed about 13, I think, for the first down, but Darrell Lewis finally bringing the big tight end to the ground.
You see Hurst kind of shaking the cobwebs loose after that collision. How about this scoop right off the grass? Great job by Hurst. You know, Bentley didn't get enough on that football. Watch him get down and pick up some yardage. It'll make Darrell Lewis regret that he was going to come up and try to stop him.
Straight handoff. Trying to get the yard that they needed. They went to Dowdle. Let's see if he's able to pick it up.
The second effort, he might have been able to eke forward just far enough to pick up the first. They're going to take a look at it.
You know, you've talked about it. I heard Kurt Roper talk about it. Sometimes the tailback on these short yardage situation, as you said, I love the quote, you got to bring your own blocker.
Yeah, I mean, you can't block them all,
yeah.
Right? And especially in the short yardage situation. Last week versus Kentucky, Kentucky had one more than South Carolina could block. And so sometimes as the ball carrier, you just got to bring your own, man. Yeah. You got to either make a guy miss in the hole or you got to be able to muscle your way through a would-be tackle. You see relatively good push, actually. Jacob August covered up a little bit, but then, you know, whenever you come into contact right at the line of scrimmage, especially in short yardage, the Cavalry's not far away. You know, they can actually get there pretty quickly. Dowdle able to muscle his way far enough.
A.J. Turner in the game at running back. Turner lost the football, but I think it fell right back in his lap.
A collective gasp in Williams-Brice Stadium, because that ball clearly out. As you see Turner coming up field, actually Louisiana Tech had a good job off the edges, and that ball was clearly out. It looked like Kadarian Mason was the one that was able to kind of rake it loose, and a fortuitous bounce for A.J. Turner.
There goes Dowdle for the first down to the 43-yard line. Give him 5.
Establishing the ground game, and they've been able to move it. Obviously in the short yard situations to convert, fight their way across the line of scrimmage. And Dowdle should be relatively fresh because it was Tyson Williams through probably the first 3 quarters when you're looking at getting the bulk of the carries.
Quick slant, batted away, incomplete, trying to hit Shi Smith.
Defense that time by Darrell Lewis. He gets there as the ball gets there. RPO, chance to try to fit it in there in front of the linebackers who were biting up on the run fake. Lewis was able to crash in on that slant and break up the pass. They like what Bentley's been doing, though, when he's got those passes tagged on to run options as far as decision making is concerned.
Swing it to Dowdle. He is tripped up at the 39, and boy, those low tackles right around the knees are so dangerous, and Dowdle is not getting up. Brandon Derman with the tackle for Louisiana Tech. We'll step aside, back in a moment. There is Rico Dowdle, who has been very important on this drive. Not a lot of yards, but some big carries. He just took what looks like a helmet to that right thigh.
Just above his knee, bam. Serious Snead coming in there. A low tackle, clean tackle, but always a dangerous one. And then, of course, you see guys like to wear the capri pants or whatever it is. You got them rolled up above your knee, and got to be frustrating for those trainers and coaches.
The capri pants.
That would have been mid
solid.
Shin.
That is solid. Here's Bentley, who has thrown to 10 different Gamecock players today. This time he hits A.J. Turner. That's a pickup of 10, and that's a first out inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. Bentley starting to hit some completions here. He's 18 of 27 for 185, but has an interception today.
We saw the offense stall out around this portion of the field, heading towards the same end zone in the first half. They ended up having a coverage bust on a third down, but if they continue to win on first, then get it out of those third and long scenarios.
Bentley has a lot of time, and the pass is caught down to Otrey Smith, and Otrey is into the end zone from 28 yards.
.6'4", 220 pounds. That's a big target as a receiver, and that is a tough man to bring down. A true freshman from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. They knew that they were going to have some guys have to step up. Bentley was given time. He was able to hit his freshman target, Otrey Smith. And Amik Robertson and Cedric Cooper, who came in there for Louisiana Tech in coverage. See Otrey Smith at the top of your screen. He's able to get underneath Robertson, and you see Cooper and Robertson both. They ended up colliding, hitting one another. Smith, great job, great balance, staying on his feet, and Cooper and Robertson still down on the turf being attended to by the training staff of Louisiana Tech. But finally, after more than 3 quarters of play, the South Carolina offense able to get up on the board. Long drive, third down conversions, a fourth down gamble on the minus side of the football field. Rico Dowdle was able to muscle his way to get up the first.
That was some kind of drive. 97 yards, 16 plays, 7.5 minutes off the clock.
And the big difference is points this time, right? Well, we saw it early on in the game. South Carolina was moving the ball, establishing drives. They get into scoring position, either turn the football over, you see a fumble in plus territory, you miss a couple of field goals. The difference here is you're actually able to punch it in.
Well, it looks like Cooper's going to get up. Well, that was a scary sequence. You have that many personnel from the training staff standing over you, and you're not moving around. There is a quiet over the stadium, but Cedric Cooper from Marrero, Louisiana, will walk off the field. Thank goodness.
Take a look at the collision again. See his shoulder, a little bit of helmet-to-helmet contact with his own teammate. He doesn't have his helmet with him. Unlikely, I think, that we'll see him back in this ballgame.
Parker White to attempt this point after. And the sarcastic applause from the crowd gives South Carolina 7. It all started with the King interception inside the 5. Then South Carolina mounted their best drive of the season, maybe. Keeps them in it. Well, the folks that decided to stay around might get a great finish. Louisiana Tech leads by 6 over South Carolina. A lot of football left. 11:06 to go. Dave Neal, Matt Stinchcomb, Dawn Davenport's down on the sidelines. South Carolina certainly changed things around last drive. What did they do to become successful picking up 97 yards?
Well, I tell you, I mean, the fact that it took a 4th and 1 conversion, you can't say that everything was clicking on all cylinders throughout. But on the touchdown throw, Jacob Bentley was afforded some time to set his feet in a nice clean pocket and let his receiver make a play.
Don't forget, coming up in about 40 minutes, SEC Saturday night, number 20 Florida takes on 3-0 Kentucky. You know that place will be rocking and rolling tonight. Coming up right here on the SEC Network. It has been so long since Kentucky beat Florida. These are some of the things that were going on in 1986. Remember Amanda, the song Amanda?
Barely. Yeah,
barely. The sad thing is, I could sing it, but I won't.
Sadie Hawkins dance, huh, Dave?
Yeah, buddy. We didn't have Sadie Hawkins when I was in college at that time.
Of course, understood.
Right. And Bob Barker, how about Bob? He had black hair. Of course, shortly thereafter, it became gray. But at that time,
because of the loss, is that what it was?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Crowd getting into it, making some noise. Oh, that one should have been, could have been, and South Carolina fans were hoping picked off by Rashad Fenton.
A little bit of pressure late. Great job by Kobe Smith, just walking offensive lineman back, and Rashad Fenton. I don't know, man. If you get one hand on it, you come up with that one going the other direction. Oh, Fenton was breaking. It looked like he was going to have a pick six going the other way. And the crowd, for the first time just about all game, is into this.
It has been a quiet Williams-Brice Stadium today. Go to Veal. He's trying to turn the corner, and he is stuffed by 3 Garnet jerseys. He'll pick up a couple of yards. 3rd down, and a long way to go now.
An opportunity for South Carolina defense to get their ball back to their offense with decent field position.
Keep an eye on number 9, Teddy Veal. Smith, nowhere to go. He's dropped back at the 26-yard line. A loss of 2. First sack of the day.
And yes, Dave, what can a 4th and 1 conversion do? It can give you a chance offensively to get in the end zone, show your defensive teammates you're going to contribute in this ball game. And the defense answers in kind, getting the ball right back to the Gamecock offense, and it might be coming alive just in time from South Carolina's perspective.
First punt of the day for Brady Farlow. Scoots to the right, end over end kick. That'll be fielded at the 26 by Lamons. He lost the football. South Carolina falls on it. Javon Charleston saves the day, or at least the moment, for South Carolina. Whew. South Carolina will have good field position as Charleston comes up with the fumble. Nine of 11, 113 yards and a touchdown here in the second half. South Carolina down a touchdown. They'll go on the ground game and go to Dowdle, who's back in after taking a helmet to the thigh. Looks healthy on that, although he still has a little bit of limp. Bentley has kind of gotten in the rhythm here in the second half.
And he's streaky that way. We talked about completing 16 straight over the second and third quarters last week versus Kentucky. And he's kind of been the consistent element to the offense.
Pass caught by Edwards.
Crowd wants a face mask. Looked like a clean tackle that time by Roberson coming up.
The South Carolina offense today has put together 299 yards. Third down and 3. Some pressure. Lofts it up in the air, and that one is incomplete. They were trying to hit Shi Smith. Darrell Lewis running stride for stride with the true freshman.
Good coverage that time by Lewis. Nice pickup as well, though, by the South Carolina offense. They're going for all of it. Get the ball at midfield, and you end up with a field position opportunity now as you punt the football away. But a missed chance with good field position for the Carolina offense.
Charlton punts it away. It'll hit at the 20 and take a Louisiana Tech bounce all the way back to the 28-yard line. So the Bulldogs have the football. They're up 6 on the road here in Columbia, South Carolina.
Mississippi State, Georgia.
That's a tough game. Every time you think Kentucky doesn't have a chance, they play really well.
Games tonight in the SEC. Florida and Kentucky coming up right here on the SEC Network at 7:30. A lot of folks with eyeballs on Athens. Mississippi State, Georgia are the Bulldogs from Starkville, the real deal after the beatdown of LSU last weekend. We will find out because I think Georgia's a pretty good football team. We'll find out a lot more about Mississippi State tonight.
Mississippi State, one of those teams that's almost automatic. Tops in the conference and third down. You got that runner at quarterback. And make sure you win on first and second versus those Bulldogs.
Sky Moore was there for the hit, but Kraft able to pick up an extra couple of yards. Moore now with 11 tackles to lead South Carolina.
DJ Smith, at safety for South Carolina, looks a little dinged up. They're going to leave him in the game, number 24. The second 7 or so. That's always an opportunity if you're a play caller and you see a safety out there limping around.
They just don't have much depth on the back end.
There's nobody to stick in there if you're South Carolina, and Smith's just going to gut it out.
Play clock down to 3. I'm going to say false start against Louisiana Tech.
Prior to the snap, false start, 89 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Adrian Hardy, a little bit anxious. Probably saw that play clock winding down. Trying to get an early start on it. So now making it, we talked about it, second and manageable. Do you take a shot, try to get a matchup to the safety level? Now you're thinking about maybe just getting it to third and manageable. Now that you're second and 10 plus.
South Carolina's done a really good job today limiting the big play because this is a big play team at Louisiana Tech.
And haven't seen a ton of passes out of the backfield.
They'll run left side to the 35. Sky Moore again on the tackle, gain of 8, but you're looking at third down.
We have seen that play though.
Yes.
Delayed draw. It's a chance. Try to pick up some positive yards and does. Good job by Kraft making his way upfield. Sky Moore once again getting off the bottom of the pile. With a third down opportunity for the defense of South Carolina. Once again, get the ball back to their offense. Down 6 points in this game. It's a one-possession game. They've been able to move it well in the second half.
Kraft slides into the backfield. He will hand it to Kraft, and he is met for a loss of a yard. And who was there but the two backers, Sky Moore and T.J. Brunson.
Well, Louisiana Tech's pulling their backside guard and tackle. They do this quite a bit. Watch Sky Moore. See him right here? T.J. Brunson at his linebacking position, and you're going to see a pull. Watch the left guard and left tackle. Sky Moore just spins down into the box. Unaccounted for in the blocking scheme. Brunson does a great job getting across. Moore looked like he was a little bit nicked up after that play.
Back-to-back punts now for Louisiana Tech after not punting all afternoon. 42-yard kick. Lamons with a fair catch. Can the Gamecocks get some offense going? It's getting late. Five and a half to go in a close ball game here in Columbia. South Carolina will have it. But Extra Yard for Teachers Week is a week-long celebration of teachers led by the College Football Playoff Foundation. Visit www.cfp-foundation.org to learn more about Extra Yard for Teachers Week and see how you can get involved. And we've been asking a lot of these players and coaches who inspired them from a teaching standpoint. And for Will Muschamp, has to be his dad. And we talked about it. He said his father, Larry, was a longtime history teacher and a coach in Georgia and in Florida. He grew up in Rome, Georgia, north of Atlanta, and then went to Gainesville for some of his early years and moved back to Rome. And his father's such an inspiration to him. Bentley going up top. Has a man. Brian Edwards tripped up at the 35, and his late father, Larry, would be very happy with that completion. Larry was Mr. Positive. Whenever something went wrong, he always had a positive comment for Will Muschamp growing up, the youngest of three boys.
Well, nothing to be negative about this one. Nothing, all positive to hit Brian Edwards. Now, this ball is underthrown. It's behind Brian Edwards. He has to stop and adjust it in the air. Otherwise, he catches it and may be able to split the safeties. Otherwise, there's still a huge play.
Hand off to Williams to the 10. He's into the end zone, and we are tied at 13. "35 yards. Tyson Williams is having one heck of a day, and he has evened it up and perhaps a lead if South Carolina can convert. Parker White. And the Gamecocks have a lead, 14-13.
So here's Edwards down here, right at the bottom. He's going to go right past the coverage and work back towards the middle of the field. See the Jarius Sneed, he jumps the underneath route. And that leaves Brian Edwards all alone. And then watch this blocking up front. Great job by Alan Knott. Good patience by Tyson Williams, pressing the hole right in the middle of that South Carolina offensive front, one that had to be rebuilt yet again. An injury early to Corey Helms at the right guard spot. Tyson Williams, he came out as the pace setter for the ground game for South Carolina, something the Gamecocks wanted to get established. Back-to-back big plays and a tremendous answer by the Gamecock offense, because it's been quiet most of the game. We've seen them able to establish some drives, but haven't capitalized.
Williams had 10 carries in the first quarter. They came out and just gave it to 2-7. Kind of surprising that we didn't even see Dowdle or Turner carry the ball much at all in the first half. Seen a lot of Dowdle here in the second half, but Louisiana Tech now down a point. Flag comes in way behind the play as Boston Scott will return the football for the Bulldogs, a 30-yard return, but that flag will be spotted back at the 16-yard line.
During the return, holding number 41 on the receiving team. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
Well, for Louisiana Tech, back in 1992, they lost a game 14-13 right here in Williams-Brice Stadium. Gamecocks hoping that story holds true here in 2017. Sixth time that these clubs have met. They were all back in the early 90s. Last time they met, it was just a complete beatdown. South Carolina destroyed Louisiana Tech behind Steve Tannehill.
Jamar Smith, the interception hurt. He had a near pick six on another possession. Let's see if he settles down on maybe the most important offensive possession of the game.
Almost picked off on the far side from Jamarcus King, who was covering Marlon Watts.
Right now, the South Carolina secondary responding and breaking on these routes. We saw King, he came up with the pick earlier, stopped a drive by Louisiana Tech that could have put it away potentially. The South Carolina was on the ropes, nothing positive at the time. And that is not a confidence builder if you're Jamar Smith throwing near your own end zone.
The slant caught, first down, 25-yard line. A gain of 17 to Rashid Bonnet.
And that is the perfect antidote. Stab one in there to your playmaker on a quick slant. Rashid Bonnet able to get inside. Jamar Smith bounces back and throws a strike.
218 through the air for Jamar Smith. Fresh set of downs. Pass is caught on that far side as Watts was falling out of bounds. They will spot it at the 31.5.
DJ Wanham had dropped in the coverage. It looks to me like his left leg would have already been out of bounds by the time he made this catch. I mean, his feet were in bounds, but it looked to me like he was touching down outside of the field of play.
Completed catch.
Yeah, it looks like he's practically seated out of bounds when he makes this catch. The upper side of his left leg. He makes contact with the ball, but it looks to me like he's out of bounds by the time he controls it.
Well, up in the replay booth, they have their DV Sport monitors, giving them plenty of opportunities to look at different angles and different things. And this is on the left side is what they're doing in the replay booth right now. That is the shot on the DV Sport monitor from the guys upstairs.
As you see the ball coming in there, I mean, don't look at his feet. Look at the above his left knee. And that's what would have been making contact out of bounds as that ball reaches Watts' hands.
Again, that's the monitor in the replay booth. And of course, there is the video center back in Birmingham. They also have the tools to look at some things and put some more eyeballs on it and help out.
We saw this a couple of times last week, several plays that involved the boundary.
I just don't know if there's enough defining evidence to overturn this.
Wow. To me, he looked like he was touching out of bounds as he was making that catch.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands.
Not confirmed.
Wow. So they're saying there wasn't enough to overturn it. By my way of thinking, that's a lucky break for Louisiana Tech.
Indisputable.
That's right. It has to be indisputable. And you say that it looked like a catch, so clearly it is disputable.
I just said that there wasn't enough for me to clearly define whether he was in or out of bounds.
And I would dispute that, which means that it's not indisputable.
So it'll stand.
Yeah.
That's to simplify things.
Absolutely. And keeping in mind, too, of course, first down play.
Going up top on second down. Has a man, pass caught. Down to the 27-yard line goes who else but Teddy, the real deal Veal.
He's a heavyweight boxer now, according to Dave Neal.
Career high, 10 catches for number 9.
We talked about DJ Smith, came up looking a little bit lame before. This is a great pass and the perfect matchup. This is what they were looking for. Teddy Veal matched up against a safety, one that came up a little bit limping several plays ago. Chris Lamont's coming over from his safety position, and Jamar Smith dropped it right in there for Teddy Veal.
10 catches, 110 yards for Veal. First and 10. Louisiana Tech. You can make it second and about 14 after that play by Taylor Stallworth, a loss of 3.
Obviously, a negative yardage play, always big for a defense, especially after a big hitter.
Sky Moore is down for South Carolina.
You talk about a collective hush coming over a stadium. They were roaring after that big tackle for loss. And then when they saw number 10 on the ground, it fell pretty silent. Watch Moore. He's just breaking up field right here. Number 10 coming to your screen. Hard to spot.
I'm just going to say this. It looked like a midsection injury.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
Yep. Sometimes those knees are up. You come down.
Bad timing.
Topographically issue. Bad timing is right, though. You're talking about plus territory. That's a guy that's made 7 tackles on the day. I cheated him by 5. He's made 12 tackles on the day.
Trying to set up a screen. Couple of blockers out in front. Cam McKnight inside the 20, falls forward to the 15, and he may have enough for the first down. They're going to spot it just inside the 16. I think that's good enough.
The screen game has been so big for Louisiana Tech this season. They fake the screen right, and then they come back to McKnight. Great job out in front by O'Shea Dugas. And Cam McKnight is a difficult man to get on the ground. 232 pounds.
One thing about Louisiana Tech, as we get down to a minute 54 to play in this, they have got one of the most confident and productive kickers in Jonathan Barnes, who in his career is 7 out of 7 in the final 2 minutes and overtime. And he, as Skip Holt says, he makes me a calm person on the sidelines.
Look how stressed he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just, I might have to kick a game winner right here.
Last week, Louisiana Tech had to drive late on the road at Western Kentucky, and Barnes was set up for this chip shot, and he nails it. And a huge victory for Louisiana Tech on the road, 23-22, against a team that won Conference USA last year.
It's the 3rd time they played him in a calendar year. And he's over there just nice and loose. And Coach Holtz is still wound up, of course. Jonathan Barnes, we just saw him a few seconds ago, and he did not look like he was in any way feeling the pressure of the potential moment that's coming up here. And that's if Louisiana Tech even needs it.
From the near hash on first down. They'll run it inside to Kraft. And now it's just clock management.
Exactly. Well, right now, you see South Carolina, they're going to start burning these timeouts to see if they can preserve a possession.
That'll leave them 1 left.
1 left. And so you're talking, and it's not lost on the Gamecock coaching staff. They know number 10, who has a miss today, uncharacteristically so.
43. He's hit from 33 and 52, which is a new career long. You know, he's only 2 field goals off the school record.
Now he's going to decide to start to get loose. A lot of times kickers, they'll start, once you get in plus territory, they're kicking into the net.
He's a guy that doesn't need to go to the range a lot. You know, he's a guy that shows up at the golf course, just walks to the first tee and smacks it 295.
Yeah, why leave it out there on the range, right? Let's just do it when it counts. See that defense. Disputed call along the boundary. On the first down, picked up some yards. Jamar Smith, he's been able to answer the bell. He threw a pick, had a couple of near picks. He's also hit some downfield shots.
They'll go with Kraft again. He'll get it to the 10, and Will Muschamp sprints down the sideline to get his final timeout in. 1:44 to go.
We've seen South Carolina last week. They got into a 2-minute drill. Able to move the football somewhat effectively. Came away with no points. And in this game, we've seen Jake Bentley kind of catch a hot streak. Able to move the football. Obviously, the previous possession, 2 big plays, got in the end zone quickly. Right now, South Carolina, they're just trying to hang on to as much clock as they possibly can with 2 more snaps without a first down. Louisiana Tech can run clock and come away with points, even pick up a first and punch it in.
Louisiana Tech trying to hold on. They led 13-0. South Carolina, a gritty second half. Scored a couple of touchdowns to take this 1-point lead. Again, though, they've had some kicking issues today. They have missed 2 field goals. They missed 3 last week. So 3rd and 5, 1:44 to play, and no timeouts for the Gamecocks. It'll be 4th down. Kraft is stopped a couple of yards shy. So they can get this under a minute.
Take your time. You see right now, they're going to keep the defense out on the field. Barnes is standing right there waiting to be sent out.
And obviously no timeouts to ice the kicker. I don't know how much that really...
I've seen it where it backfires. You end up, a kicker misses a field goal. You try to quote-unquote ice him. He gets a second try at it and splits the uprights. But the difference here is, when you have a timeout to play with, the kicker doesn't know if you're going to ice him or not. To me, I like the one where it's almost a pump fake on the ice. No chance of that here, having expended all your timeouts.
Barnes, an 80% marksman in his career. The school's all-time leading scorer. They beat Ole Miss back in 2011. This will be their first SEC victory against a team against the SEC. They still got to convert. You still got to execute a clean snap. You got to block. You got to hold the snap. But they have been successful with Barnes over his career. The senior out of Baton Rouge.
You saw that shot of Skip Holtz on the sideline. And you see the kind of the calming effect that Barnes has on him as well. He had a little smile on his face as he sent his kicker out to kick a go-ahead field goal with under a minute to play on the road.
Watch Ulrich Jones. He's blocked a couple of kicks for South Carolina last year from 25 yards out. I don't know if you can hit it any cleaner than Barnes just hit it. And Louisiana Tech has a 2-point advantage with 55 seconds to play.
See Jamar Smith, the quarterback. We talked about the drive snuffing pick. It kind of ignited the lone drive to that point anyway for the South Carolina offense. You mentioned it, Dave. That's a clean battery. A nice snap, good hold. Jonathan Barnes drills it.
He's now 8 of 8 in his career inside of 2 minutes and overtime.
So we were saying before, the 43-yard miss, that was too pedestrian for him. He needs to work under pressure. Game's got to be on the line. As Coach Muschamp, he's not surprised. You could tell, they start expending those timeouts, knowing they're going to need some time on the clock to work with on the other side of a would-be field goal attempt. Louisiana Tech gets it.
These are always those moments. I'm anxious to see what they decide to do. Louisiana Tech, do you hit the line drive squib kick? You try to send it through the end zone? Do you give them a chance to return it?
See, South Carolina is a dangerous return team. We've already had a couple come back this year.
That worked out for Louisiana Tech if they can make a tackle here. Fenton breaking free, and he is out to the 21-yard line. Well, here you go. 51 seconds to play. Sophomore Jake Bentley, who this afternoon, 21 of 31, 254, a TD and a pick.
Well, we've seen it when he's had a clean pocket and time to work. He's been able to find some receivers downfield and been able to work his way through his progressions. We haven't talked about Jalen Ferguson all game long, number 45 for Louisiana Tech. We'll see if he shows up in a 2-minute drill. Louisiana Tech going to go with just 3 rushers. Here's Ferguson at the top of your screen, working against Dennis Daly at left tackle.
Their sack machine set a school record with 14.5 a year ago. They double him, but almost got in there. Bentley steps to his left down the field, and a big hit at the 45 jars it free, and a flag comes out. Jordan Baldwin with the big hit on Brian Edwards. Excuse me, Ortre Smith.
Once again, Bentley buying time. You see Jordan Baldwin coming in here, and you know, it looked to me like he was trying to lead with his shoulder, his left shoulder, which made contact to Ortre Smith right in his chest area. Ortre Smith obviously a little bit shaken up after this hit. Targeting's the call on the field. You know, you can see Ortre Smith's, there is contact to his helmet, but to me it's incidental. This looks like, it doesn't look like he's trying to target the head or neck area at all. And one of the indicators is a launch. I don't see much of a launch either.
And you see the left shoulder dip into the receiver.
Yeah, it looked to me like the intent clearly was, look, I want to separate the receiver from the ball. I think that's a clean hit. And I don't think anybody's headhunting on that one.
Yeah, see, to me, it looks like left shoulder. It's just a football play with a left shoulder, and a heck of a play.
A violent collision, right? But a clean, violent collision. And it was good to see both players get up and walk off.
After further review, the hit on the receiver was not targeting, therefore it's an incomplete pass. It will be second down.
And, you know, that play started. Jalen Ferguson collapsed the pocket. Inside out, flushed Jake Bentley, who had to roll to his left. He launched that ball, and it hung just long enough to allow Baldwin to come across the field and lay a hit on Ortre Smith.
Well, that was just a fraction of a second away from being a huge play for South Carolina. Second down, Bentley deep down the middle. Pass is batted in the air and drops to the turf. That time it was Shi Smith. Darrell Lewis with another pass defended. So third down and 10, 36 seconds to go.
Got the ball downfield, but not where he wanted to place it. You see this right here, Shi Smith having to spin in the air and try to adjust. Probably didn't time his jump that well, but he had to stop his momentum because that ball was behind him.
Three-man rush. Bentley escapes 2 defenders. Scoots free. Has a lot of room. Bentley the first down. He's out to the 45-yard line. The clock will stop with 26 seconds to move the chains.
You see him get up, get over the ball. You can see Bentley trying to get his offense lined up.
Boy, guys up front now getting gassed as Bentley goes deep. Ball's in the air, caught inside the 15 by Brian Edwards. A huge play for South Carolina. 11 seconds to go.
Edwards was not the intended receiver. He adjusts to this ball and just makes a play for his quarterback.
Bentley slams it to the turf with 7 seconds remaining.
Louisiana Tech can't believe it.
Edwards with a huge catch. 41 yards.
That ball looked like it was overthrown, and he was intending to hit Shi Smith again. And Edwards, he just comes in and plays safety. He goes up the ladder one rung higher than Amik Robertson.
Louisiana Tech will take the timeout. Parker White will get the call for South Carolina. He has missed from 34 and 46. He has not hit a field goal in his young South Carolina career.
And you wonder how important it was? It was kind of a sarcastic cheer, but for Parker White to see that ball go through the uprights, because he hadn't seen it in over a game and almost 2 games worth of football. He was able to get that point after attempt, and mentally for a kicker, that can be the difference. Right now, if you're South Carolina, you got to have your kicker thinking like number 10 on the other sideline, that this is money.
Parker White wasn't on the team last year, but was enrolled in school here. Walked onto this team in the spring, battled for the job. It took a while, but he got it. But has yet to hit a field goal in his South Carolina career. This one will come from 31 yards away, near hash. Danny Gordon will hold it. Louisiana Tech will take another timeout.
And see, you can second guess it all day long, but to me, you sit on the second freeze timeout because he's maybe anticipating you're going to call it, and you never do. I line up if I'm the kicker, he's going to freeze me. Maybe I'm not as focused. You see those kickers when they freeze, they still swing through the ball.
Can't overlook the play of Jake Bentley on a third down scramble out of the pocket that gave them an opportunity.
It was Ferguson again. I mean, we've said we hadn't said his name all game long. He pressures Bentley, and Bentley just says, you know what? I saw last week, a quarterback scramble for a big game to win it. Steven Johnson for Kentucky. I can do it myself.
Here we go. For the ball game, Parker White. His first career field goal is a game winner.
It only takes one to be clutch, Dave.
Good point.
Parker White. And how does he get to celebrate? He comes over to the sideline and they hand him a tee. You got to kick off, man. What an unbelievable sequence of events. Parker White, well, as you mentioned, he hadn't hit a field goal yet. He got a point after attempt in this game. Look at his teammates. They're jacked. But what set it up was Brian Edwards, Jake Bentley buying time in the pocket. And the fans that stuck around, they may have witnessed an unbelievable comeback.
Heading into the fourth quarter, it did not look like South Carolina had a chance in this one.
We were saying a 2-score game is more than enough. We're up here.
Now can you defend this kick? Here comes the lateral game. There's some running room near side. Couple of blockers out there, and that will do it. South Carolina survives Louisiana Tech.
Illegal forward pass, number 81 on the receiving team. That penalty includes a loss of down. Therefore, there is no extension of the period. The game is over.
What a game. What a fourth quarter. South Carolina found a way. And there are certain Saturdays where you just got to find a way, and they found a way today.
Well, this was a crazy one, to say the least, but they did what it took to back into this game. With South Carolina on defense, they burned a couple of timeouts to preserve enough clock for that man right there to work his magic.
Let's go down to Dawn.
Well, Coach Muschamp, you're down 13-0 at the start of the fourth quarter. What a gritty performance from your team. What did you learn about him?
Well, it's a great effort by our guys. It was certainly not what we wanted as far as the execution at times. We were very sloppy with the ball offensively, but I'm extremely proud of our football team. I mean, that's a good football team. We've been saying it all week, and a gutsy performance by our guys to continue to fight. I'm very proud of our guys.
Parker White, his first career field goal. What was going through your mind then?
Well, I told him at halftime, I said, you're going the whole way, so get ready to go win the game. And I looked at him before he kicked it, and I said, what'd I tell you? So I'm glad it worked out that way. He's a good young man. We've left 16 points on the field the last 2 weeks in the kicking game, and we've got to get that corrected.
I was impressed by how calm Jake Bentley was on that last drive. What impressed you the most about it?
Well, nothing shocks me. We work 1 minute all the time. Every Wednesday we in practice with a 1 minute situation, and our guys did a fantastic job of executing.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
The head coach and the quarterback hugging it out. A big win. And there's a guy right now that, I mean, this is why you play sports, right? I mean, you're in the bottom of the world. You can't feel any worse. And now he is a legend.
Yeah.
At least for a night.
He might be able to ride this one for 5 or 6 nights.
Right.
But he was in the tank, and boy, did he come out and rally.
What a game. What a fourth quarter. South Carolina goes to 3-1 with the victory, and it's a big one because they've got Texas A&M and Arkansas back-to-back weeks coming up. Of course, Texas A&M wins today over the Hogs in Dallas. Parker White, his first career field goal as a Gamecock, splits the uprights with 4 seconds remaining to give his team the victory. 17-16, South Carolina wins it. We'll be back with more from Columbia. But first, let's check in with Dari in the studio.